Good morning. I want to stop for a moment straight away and pause. Let's just take a nice deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And today I was thinking, have I ever explained why I called this session, this weekly live, pause? I don't think I've ever explained it. One of the things that I'm aware of in the work that I do, and I've been doing this particular type of work for, oh my gosh, so 28 years I've been doing spiritual work, but I think it's been 7 years, coming up to 7 years of like alchemy, recoding all of those things and working with creation codes. And one of the things that I know is that, or I've observed, is people, most of us, don't stop and pause to take a beat to understand our internal guidance system, to really deeply recognize what we require, what we desire, what sort of impact we're creating. What is our world outside of the performance, like without the performance, without the doing for others, doing for gratification, for all of those things, right? What's going on for us on a soul level? And that's one of the reasons why I created Pause, is because it just takes a moment to stop, to recognize that moment of coming back into ourselves. And it's the pause, is that little moment of just breathing, right? Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. That little moment is so powerful, because that moment stops the noise and the chatter. It grounds, it brings us back into our body. It allows us to have space from the external world. It gives us a moment to reflect. It's so powerful, and yet a lot of us don't give ourselves the opportunity to stop, because there's so much going on in the world, in our mind, in our environment, all of those things, that we just constantly are in survival mode. So today is the 3rd of March, and as I was getting ready to sit and go, what am I talking about today? I thought about, the 3, and three is such a spiritual number. It's a very powerful number because it represents the Trinity, right? Father, Son, Holy Ghost, body, mind, spirit. And in my version of it, it's power, powerless, and empowerment. And the reason I did a little blog post yesterday asking, what would you prefer, to be in a dissatisfied relationship, or an uncomfortable relationship? I can't even remember what I called it. Or alone. And I got a lot of people, of course, saying alone, 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 alone. But then there was the odd person, I think there was like maybe 2 women, that said there's a third alternative. And I'm like, yeah, there really is. Because alone when you're in clarity, alone when you're in sovereignty, alone when you're empowered, is a very different place to be than alone because you're lonely, because you'd prefer to be isolated than be in a relationship that's not serving you, right? And when you can do the inner work, when you can sit with yourself and work out, why did I create that relationship? Why do I get triggered with those little tiny moments, right? Those little tiny energy depletions with somebody else. When somebody else just slightly, either silences, is silent when you're expecting a response, says something just a bit derogatory, puts you down, just slightly. All of those things lower your vibration. And we're putting on our monthly mixer this for March, and we're doing a process in that mixer where we're talking to that queen energy, the energy of higher standards, boundaries, all of those things, really deeply connecting into that part of us that knows what it is that we want to, that authority piece. And through that process, anyone that's in content creation land knows that you're looking at the old things, the old stories of when you weren't in that space, to support people that may be still there. And I remember those times when I was in a relationship that was not benefiting me, and yet it was benefiting me because I had to find that part of myself that wanted to be more than what I was experiencing myself as in that relationship, right? Because when I was there, I got to this point where I was, being put down all the time, just really gently, very subtly, not any major dramatic thing. It was just like these little tiny, triggers, or these little tiny pokes, that you thought, maybe I'm being unreasonable, maybe I'm just being too much. But when they happen all the time, and then you stop being yourself, because when you're being yourself, it aggravates the other person. You've got to start thinking, who am I here for, right? And you get to this point where you've got to, well, you don't. Some people just stay there. However, if you're spiritually growing or personally on a path, then you get to this point where you've got to choose yourself instead. You've got to choose, I prefer to be in a space where I'm elevated, where I feel confident and strong and reassured internally, self-assured, not because of anybody else's validation, not because of the way they're treating me, just because I prefer to be in this space by myself. And it's a big journey, right? And so the pause is extremely important in that assessment, self-assessment, because if you don't pause and stop and give yourself that moment to reflect internally and to consciously create with that other part of yourself, that third part, right? That higher wisdom, that part of you that knows more than what this little self knows, and is guiding you forward, is giving you the indication that you can be bigger and better, and there's more expansion for you. If you're not giving yourself that pause, you'll never experience that, because your unconscious is constantly in survival mode. and it will constantly talk and chatter and give you reasons and excuses of why you're behaving the way you are and why the other person's behaving the way they are, and that you're not good enough and that you're not worthy, and you are being irrational, and everybody else lives in this sort of environment or this world, so why do you have to be different, and you don't belong anyway, and you're not perfect, and blah 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 blah. It just goes on and on and on, and you never get the chance to stop to hear the whisper behind that chatter, because the whisper behind the chatter is the truth, is the real sovereignty, is the real wisdom. And so pausing is really, really important. And so I was looking up this morning, I thought I'd ask chat. Everyone's doing it, is asking chat. So I asked chat about 33, because today's the 3rd of the 3rd, right? And yeah, the 3rd of the 3rd. I was just looking at 2026. And I asked to give me some information about number 33. And 33 in numerology. Now, for the type of person I am, people think that I'm into all of this stuff, and I'm actually not really. I'm just into spiritual enlightenment. I'm into ascension. I'm into becoming the highest, biggest, best version, most expansive, most, wisdom orientated, genius orientated person that I can, and being aligned with my soul growth, what my soul came here to experience. So if that means that I connect with astrology or numerology or the moon cycles or whatever, it's something that I do every so often, but it doesn't guide me, right? It's not, what guides me is my higher self. So I digress. Anyway, 33 in numerology is the master teacher number. In modern Western numerology, largely influenced by Pythagoras' traditions, 33 is called a master number. The usual marketing line is 33 is the master teacher, pure love, Christ consciousness. That's the polished version. But here's the full picture. 1.33, which is pi, right, equals 3 plus 3, meaning 6. Underneath the mystic, 33 reduces to 6. 6 is responsibility, family, service, devotion, beauty, and harmony. So 33 isn't ascension sparkles, it's service at scale. If someone carries 33 energy, life path, repeating synchronicities, etc., the demand is, can you love, and I want you to pause for a moment and listen to this. Take a moment. Can you love at a level that costs you comfort? Can you love at a level that costs you comfort? That's the test. I want to just pause for a moment because that's a big one. How many people can love at a level that costs you comfort? So many are in for their own justification, their own validation, their own sacrifice, like self-sacrifice to themselves, not to the other person. And relationship truly is being able to love at the level where you are in your discomfort sometimes, right? Sometimes on the weekend, I'll give you an example. On Thursday I slipped and hurt my shoulder in my mum's nursing home car park, right? And I damaged my shoulder. It was pretty bad. and I've done it before on the other side, and it took 12 months to fix because I didn't listen. I'm a bit hard-ass with myself, and I didn't listen to my body, and I kept on going to the gym, and I damaged it even more. I tore and created bursitis and stuff. So this time I'm learning, and I put it in a uncomfortable all the time, Marianne. Yeah, true. Um, I put it in a sling and did all the things. We've got this new little gadget that we're playing with. It's a PEMF machine, and I've been putting that on. It's been really good, and I can nearly lift it up completely. I can definitely do that. But on Saturday I had an essential oil class to do, which I haven't done in years and years and years, but I had one to do of all weekends. And Tim, who's been working extremely hard lately, uh, wanted to have a weekend off, but instead he drove me to this essential oil class and sat in the front room and did some work and waited for me to finish and drove me home because at the time I couldn't put the blinkers on and stuff. That is uncomfortable love, right? That's sacrificing external to yourself. I absolutely honor him and love him for, I couldn't believe that he did it. I was gonna, try my best to do it by myself, but it was so good. Um, so number 2, the shadow of 33. No one talks about this. Every master number has a distortion field. The shadow of 33 is martyrdom, overgiving, savior complex, emotional exhaustion, taking responsibility for everyone, spiritual superiority masked as compassion. This is where high capacity women burn out. They think they are here to heal everyone. 33 will wreck you if you don't have boundaries. You don't get to teach love until you've stopped leaking it. And so it goes on to talk about the Christ myth and 33 in the Freemasonry, which I won't go into. 33 as amplified creation. Let me talk about that. 3 is creative expression. Double 3 is amplified expression. 33 is communication that shapes culture. Emotional intelligence used publicly, influence through heart-led authority. If someone sees 33 repeatedly while feeling chaotic, it's usually not you're ascending, it's clean up how you're using your voice. It actually goes into quite biologically and practically, the human spine has 33 vertebrae. Wow, that's interesting symbolically. Energy, rising, alignment, support, and structure. I just want to go back to the 33 martyrdom, the shadow side, because if we are burnt out and in chaos, we can't hold our own boundaries. And this is where the pause comes in again, right? If we don't pause and stop to choose to really reflect on what any given moment actually means to us, not to us as in the survival mode, the personality or the identity that's wounded and broken and wants to, delegate all of the excuses and the blame to everybody else. No, 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 no. I'm talking about the part of us that's inside, that's guiding us and giving us these experiences so that we can understand ourselves, know thyself, right? Understand ourselves at a higher frequency so that we can move out of power and powerless, where we can move out of this space of us and them and duality and being at war, with our external world, and move into that aspect of ourselves that is in unity consciousness, that empowered part, the higher self that is here and recognizes that everything that we are experiencing is an opportunity for us to grow and expand and ascend out of the duality and into the unity consciousness, where we recognize that everything that is in our environment is us. Everything that's happening is an indication of, or an opportunity to mirror our internal world, so that we can look, okay, why did I create this? Why am I in this relationship? Why am I being triggered here? Because if you're being triggered by anything, then there's work to be done. When something happens, and guys, we're human beings, right? I freaking fell over. It was so annoying because I was wearing thongs for the first time. Like, all the things that happen, and you go, okay, what's the lesson in this, right? I was, first time ever I was wearing goddamn thongs up in Sydney, and it'd been pouring down rain while I actually went in, like floodwater stuff, right? I go all the way up Mount Ousley, which is a huge mountain, to go and see my mum, and all of the car park is dry except for this little tiny puddle, and I've got a box in my hand, so I didn't see it. I didn't even have the opportunity to stop. I did, like, you know how you go to catch yourself? My thong just slid out, and I just ended up, don't even know how I landed. I just know that I had the bloody box in my hand still. Now, all of that happened, right, for a reason. And I'm looking at the psychosomatic aspect of this because I'm just about to start Pilates again, right? And I'm like, okay, because at the start of the year, I recognized that I was listening to my higher self with everything except for my fitness. You know, I go walking, but I sit on my butt a lot for, you know, doing the work that I do. I used to massage, and so I was strong and fit with the massage. But as I've aged, or as I'm getting older, my business has changed, and so I'm looking at that part of myself, right, and the part that also would have tried to. Oh, it said I was currently offline. I don't know if you actually heard any of that stuff. The part of me that wouldn't have allowed him to drive me before, because I don't like having attention on me when I'm vulnerable, when I'm sick, right? But those things have changed because I have allowed myself and see, you know, I see those patterns of the hard-ass woman that can do it all by herself, and stepping into now being in a relationship where someone wants to love me, support me, you know, honor me as a woman, all of those things. And so giving into that and being open to receive has been a big thing in my relationship with Tim. So we've all got our stuff, right? We've all got our variations of what it is that we're creating in our world. But if we don't stop and pause to hear that wisdom from our higher self that has the knowledge of why we're experiencing something, why we have created this dynamic between us and somebody else, right? Us and our environment, whatever it is, we have the opportunity to understand why we're creating this and to do something about it and act on it, right? Sometimes that is an action of external. Other times it's an internal action of reflection and pausing and being vulnerable and opening your heart, and, you know, stepping outside of the survival mode. So that's pause today. We are doing a monthly mixer at the end of 25th of March, and it's called the Queen Standard. So we're we're going to be working on or recognizing our queen energy, that part of us that has boundaries and authority and knowledge and wisdom, and actually talk to that part of us that knows when we're doing these micro adjustments and settling in relationships with others. So throw into the comments Queen, and we will send you the link, and I will catch you next Tuesday. See ya.